I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile. As I learned through the First Nations throughout Canada, because of the Invictus Games, their goal in life was always truth and reconciliation.
Prince Harry will never be allowed back to work as a half-in, half-out royal, and claims he could help ease William's workload are wrong. Prince Harry will never be allowed to return to work as a half-in, half-out royal, and the claims he could ease the burden of his brother, Prince William, are wrong. Insiders reacted angrily on Sunday night to reports from sources close to the Duke of Sussex that his recent meeting with King Charles at the end of his group's hugely successful charity tour of the UK signaled a thaw in their relationship and an acceptance of his family back into the royal fold. The same sources also suggested it could be the start of a new working model for the former royal. He now appears to be planning to return to the UK 4 or 5 times a year for public events, both for his own charitable initiatives and potentially to support the royal family. However, referring to the press conferences, a royal insider told the Daily Mail, "The person behind this meeting seems to have confused a cup of tea and a piece of cake with the Treaty of Versailles." There are apparently concerns that some in Team Harry could use this month's small step forward in the father-son rift to, perhaps in a dark way, drive a wedge between the king and his eldest son and heir. They have repeated unfounded claims that tensions are brewing between the king and Prince William over his seemingly light workload. A royal source said, "The honeyed information from supposed Sussex sources is why the king and the royal family are reluctant to embark on any path to mending relations. If the intention was to promote rebuilding trust and relationships, it has had the exact opposite effect." Prince Harry, the rebel royal who walked away from the crown. Roots of a giant, childhood in the shadow. Prince Henry Charles Albert David Harry was born on the 15th of September 1984 into a family whose history stretched back 1,000 years. He was the second son of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, destined to play the spare to Prince William's heir. As a young child, Harry was adored. His ginger hair, cheeky smile, and playful spirit made him instantly lovable to the British public. Yet his family life was far from stable. Charles and Diana's marriage was falling apart in the public eye. Their fights, their affairs, their pain, it all spilled across newspapers. Harry once said he never truly understood his parents' unhappiness, but he felt the cold distance between them. Diana tried to shield him with warmth, affection, and her famous people's touch. She took Harry and William to theme parks, fast food restaurants, and homeless shelters experiences far from palace walls. Diana wanted her sons to see the world beyond crowns and carriages. Then came the 31st of August, 1997. Diana died in a Paris car crash, chased by paparazzi. Harry, only 12, received the news in Balmoral Castle. He later admitted he felt numb, unable to believe it. Days later, the world watched as Harry, William, and Charles walked behind Diana's coffin. Millions wept. Harry kept his head down, his grief locked away, forced to mourn in front of strangers. That day scarred him forever. In his memoir, he admitted he replayed her last moments endlessly, wondering if he could have saved her. From that moment on, Harry's relationship with the press was poisoned. They hadn't just hounded his mother, they had killed her. And Harry never forgot. School life didn't ease the pain. At Eton, Harry was the opposite of his studious brother. He was lively, rebellious, and often in trouble. He drank, smoked, and became a favorite target of the tabloids. Stories of wild parties and scandalous behavior became regular headlines. Yet friends said this was Harry's way of masking his grief. Behind the laughter was still a boy broken by loss. The climb to power. Harry in the army. For years, Harry was branded as the Wild Prince. The tabloids loved to paint him as reckless, caught drinking at nightclubs, photographed in compromising situations, even once wearing a Nazi costume at a party that sparked outrage worldwide. To the public, Harry was a royal playboy spiraling out of control. But Harry himself knew he needed something more, something that gave him purpose beyond being the spare. And so, in 2005, he enrolled at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst. To the surprise of many, the prince thrived. Here, he wasn't just Prince Harry, he was Officer Cadet Wales. Stripped of titles, treated like any other recruit, Harry found the sense of belonging he had long been searching for. The army gave him discipline, camaraderie, and most of all, identity. He pushed himself through grueling training, determined not to receive special treatment. His fellow soldiers later recalled that he worked harder than most, eager to prove himself worthy. In 2007, Harry was secretly deployed to Afghanistan. For 10 weeks, he lived among soldiers on the front lines. He ate with them, laughed with them, and fought beside them. He was finally doing what he always wanted, serving, not as royal, but as a soldier. The British media agreed to a blackout, keeping his location secret to protect his unit. But when foreign press leaked the story, Harry was pulled out. He was furious. He hadn't wanted to be treated differently, but once again, the press had changed his destiny. Harry returned to Afghanistan in 2012, this time as an Apache helicopter pilot. The missions were dangerous, but he thrived under pressure. "If there's people trying to do bad stuff to our guys," he once said, "then we'll take them out of the game." These were not the words of a pampered prince, they were the words of a soldier who has seen war. The military years transformed Harry. For the first time, he wasn't running from pain or acting out in rebellion. He was finding purpose. Soldiers respected him because he refused privilege, choosing to live the same hardships they did. For Harry, this was freedom. But war also left scars. In interviews, he later admitted he struggled with mental health after returning home. The trauma of combat mixed with the unresolved grief of Diana's death left him vulnerable. He once revealed he had panic attacks, depression, and a sense of anger he couldn't shake. Still, these years shaped the man he would become. Harry left the army in 2015 after 10 years of service, having risen to the rank of captain. He was decorated, respected, and had finally proven both to himself and the world that he was more than just the spare. And yet, destiny had another twist waiting. Because just when Harry thought he had found his footing, love would come crashing into his life and change everything. Meghan Markle and breaking the royal mold. In 2016, Harry's life changed forever. Through a mutual friend, he was introduced to Meghan Markle, an American actress best known for her role on the TV series Suits. Meghan was not from aristocracy, she was biracial, divorced, and outspoken. To the rigid traditions of the British monarchy, she was everything unexpected. To Harry, she was everything he had been searching for. Their connection was instant. Harry later described it as love at first sight. For Meghan, the relationship came with unimaginable pressure. From the moment the media discovered their romance, the scrutiny was relentless. Tabloids picked apart her background, her career, her family. The attacks were vicious, often laced with racism and sexism. Harry, haunted by memories of Diana's treatment by the press, was furious. In a rare move, he released a public statement defending Meghan, condemning the racist undertones of coverage. It was the first sign that Harry would challenge the system, press, palace, and public opinion for her. In November 2017, Harry proposed, presenting Meghan with a ring designed with diamonds from Diana's personal collection. The following spring, the world watched as the couple married at Windsor Castle. The ceremony was a blend of royal tradition and modern identity, gospel choirs, American pastors, a bride walking into a centuries-old monarchy with her own voice intact. For many, it symbolized a new, inclusive royal family. The couple became the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, a modern fairy tale. Crowds cheered, headlines celebrated. Meghan became pregnant with their first child, Archie, and the future seemed bright. But behind palace walls, tension simmered. Meghan later revealed that she felt isolated, unsupported, and silence within the royal institution. She said she was denied help when she sought assistance for her mental health. The fairy tale was cracking. Harry, once the cheeky prince of the people, was now torn between loyalty to his family and love for his wife. The British tabloids only escalated their attacks. Every gesture, every outfit, every word Meghan spoke was criticized. In the press, William and Kate were praised as the perfect royals, while Harry and Meghan were painted as difficult, demanding, and disruptive. The pressure became unbearable. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan made a shocking announcement. They would step back as senior members of the royal family. They wanted financial independence, freedom from the press, and the ability to live life on their own terms. The world called it Megxit. The royal family was blindsided. For centuries, duty had been the defining rule of monarchy. But Harry, Diana's son, was once again breaking tradition. He would not allow the institution or the press to destroy his wife as they had destroyed his mother. The couple left Britain and moved to North America. For the first time, Harry was free from the palace, but he was also stepping into a storm that would only grow louder. Life in America. A new beginning or another battle. When Harry and Meghan boarded their flight to North America in 2020, the world was stunned. Royals simply did not leave. The monarchy was not a job, it was a lifelong obligation. But Harry and Meghan had shattered centuries of tradition. At first, their future was uncertain. They had lost public funding, their royal patronages, and the right to use the title His and Her Royal Highness in an official capacity. To some, they were fugitives from the crown. To others, they were pioneers carving a path of independence. Settling in California, Harry and Meghan built a new life. They purchased a mansion in Montecito, surrounded by celebrities like Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres. They launched their charitable foundation, Arguable, named after their son Archie. Deals followed multi-million-dollar contracts with Netflix and Spotify, giving them both financial stability and a global platform. But their departure from royal life did not quiet the storm. Instead, it unleashed new waves of controversy. In 2021, Harry and Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a televised interview that shook the monarchy to its core. Meghan spoke candidly about her struggles with suicidal thoughts and the lack of support from the royal institution. Even more shocking, she revealed that a senior member of the royal family had expressed concerns about how dark Archie's skin might be. The interview was explosive. Across the globe, viewers debated whether Harry and Meghan were brave truth-tellers or ungrateful rebels. In Britain, some accused them of tarnishing the crown. In America, many applauded their courage. For Harry, speaking out was both liberation and risk. He was finally confronting the very system that had haunted him since Diana's death. But it also deepened the divide with his family. Prince William and King Charles remained silent, their never complain, never explain mantra clashing with Harry's openness. In 2023, Harry published his memoir, Spare. The title itself spoke volumes his lifelong role as the spare heir, the one who existed only as backup to William. The book was raw, intimate, and often shocking. He revealed private fights with William, including one physical altercation. He recounted his experimentation with drugs, his anger toward the press, and his enduring grief for Diana. Spare became a bestseller, breaking records in its first week, but it also inflamed critics, who saw it as betrayal, airing the family's darkest secrets for profit. Once again, Harry was polarizing. To some, a brave survivor. To others, a bitter prince who couldn't let go of the past. Yet through it all, Harry insisted his mission was to protect his family. Meghan, Archie, and later, their daughter Lilibet, born in 2021. He claimed he had no regrets about leaving royal life. I had to do what any husband and father would do, he said. I chose my family. But freedom came at a cost. Harry's ties to his brother and father grew colder. Public appearances back in Britain were filled with awkward silences and icy stares. At Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022, Harry stood apart from his family, visibly estranged. In California, Harry was no longer a working royal, but he was no ordinary citizen either. He straddled two worlds, still a prince by blood, but no longer bound by the palace. It was a life of wealth, independence, and controversy. The question lingered, had Harry truly found peace, or had he only traded one cage for another? Family tensions and legacy. The prince without the palace. For centuries, the British royal family has thrived on unity, tradition, and silence. Yet Prince Harry, once the cheeky boy walking behind Diana's coffin, has become the loudest voice challenging the monarchy from the outside. And this defiance has left scars not only on the institution, but on his own family ties. Harry's relationship with Prince William, once his closest ally, is now deeply fractured. The brothers who once leaned on each other in grief have grown into rivals divided by choices. In his memoir Spare, Harry described a physical fight in which William allegedly grabbed him, shoved him to the ground, and left him bruised. For Harry, it symbolized years of tension. William, the heir bound by duty, versus Harry, the spare seeking freedom. With King Charles, the relationship is complicated. As monarch, Charles has maintained the traditional royal silence, refusing to publicly condemn or embrace Harry's claims. At Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022, the cameras captured the distance between father and son. Harry walked solemnly, isolated, while the rest of the family presented a united front. To many, the images spoke louder than words. Harry was now an outsider to the very family that defined his existence. But Harry has chosen a different path of legacy. Through the Archewell Foundation, he and Meghan have championed mental health awareness, climate change, and support for veterans. Harry has remained deeply committed to causes close to his heart, like the Invictus Games, a sporting event for wounded servicemen and women that he founded in 2014. The Games have grown into a global celebration of resilience, symbolizing the best of Harry's enduring commitment to service. At home, Harry embraces his role as a husband and father. He has often said that protecting Meghan and their children, Archie and Lilibet, is his top priority. Unlike his own childhood, marked by paparazzi and tragedy, Harry strives to give his kids privacy, stability, and unconditional love. In Montecito, far from palace gates, Harry plays the role of a devoted father picking flowers with Archie, celebrating Lilibet's birthdays quietly, and embracing the everyday joys that royalty once denied him. Yet the divide between Harry and his heritage continues to puzzle the public. Is he still a prince? Yes, by blood, but without royal duties, without the palace's embrace, and with much of Britain critical of his choices, he stands in a strange limbo, half royal, half exile. For supporters, Harry is a modern hero, breaking chains, challenging outdated traditions, and prioritizing love over duty. For critics, he is a prince who turned his back on centuries of service, choosing Hollywood deals over loyalty. This is the paradox of Harry's legacy. He is no longer the soldier prince, no longer the party prince, no longer even the working prince. He is something entirely new, a man without a palace, a royal without a crown, and a father trying to rewrite his family story. And yet, one question remains. Will history remember him as the brave son who honored Diana by escaping the system that destroyed her, or as the rebel prince who abandoned his duty when the crown needed him most? The legacy they leave behind, hero or cautionary tale? Prince Harry's life has always been a stage play, unfolding not in theaters but in newspapers, television screens, and now streaming platforms. Unlike royals of the past, his legacy is not confined to dusty archives or family portraits. It is written in real time, debated on social media, dissected in podcasts, and broadcast across the globe. What exactly will Harry leave behind? For some, he has already reshaped what it means to be royal in the modern world. By rejecting blind obedience to tradition, Harry has forced the monarchy to confront its own fragility. His marriage to Meghan Markle brought conversations about race, diversity, and inclusion into the heart of Buckingham Palace topics the crown had long avoided. Whether celebrated or criticized, Harry's voice has become impossible to ignore. The Invictus Games may prove to be one of his most enduring legacies. Founded in 2014, The games have given thousands of wounded servicemen and women a platform to prove that resilience transcends physical and emotional scars. These games are a living reminder that Harry's years in the military left him with more than medals, they left him with a mission. His candid advocacy for mental health has also broken barriers. In a family known for silence, Harry spoke openly about therapy, trauma, and the shadows of grief. His honesty has inspired countless individuals to seek help and confront their own struggles. In this sense, he has become a bridge between royal reserve and modern vulnerability. But not all legacies are flattering. For critics, Harry symbolizes betrayal. By revealing private conversations in interviews, by publishing his memoir Spare, and by signing lucrative media deals, he has been accused of exploiting the very family he claims to protect. To them, Harry is less a reformer and more a cautionary tale, a prince who abandoned duty for celebrity, eroding the mystique of monarchy. Universities, cultural institutions, and public commentators are divided. Some hail him as an inspirational figure who used his privilege to highlight systemic problems. Others reduce him to a cautionary warning that too much honesty can shatter the very institution that gives you identity. Even the media, once his greatest enemy, cannot decide how to frame him. Tabloids thrive on criticizing him, yet cannot stop covering him. Documentaries, podcasts, and news cycles orbit his every move. In a strange way, Harry has achieved what few royals ever have. He has made himself both indispensable and controversial, loved and loathed, heroic and flawed. And what of the monarchy? 10 or 20 years from now, historians may see Harry as the spark that forced reform or as a prince who fueled division during one of the crown's most fragile eras. His name will forever be tied not just to his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, or to his father, King Charles III, but to the struggles of Diana, the hopes of Meghan, and the uncertain destiny of his children. Will Archie and Lilibet inherit titles? Will they grow up as private citizens or global figures? That, too, is part of Harry's legacy. He has given them freedom, but at the cost of tradition. In the end, Harry's story is neither fully triumphant nor entirely tragic. It is complex, layered, and human. He is not the untouchable prince of fairy tales. He is a man flawed, scarred, resilient, who has forced the world to ask uncomfortable questions about duty, love, and survival under the glare of power. The final word, was it freedom or betrayal? Prince Harry's life has been anything but ordinary. From the moment of his birth, cameras followed his every move. He grew up as the spare heir, always second to William, always measured against tradition, always caught between personal desire and public duty. His story is a collision of opposites: privilege and pain, loyalty and rebellion, heritage and freedom. At 12 years old, he walked behind his mother's coffin, scarred by a loss that would define his life. As a young man, he sought escape through wild parties, only to find meaning in the discipline of military service. As a husband, he chose love over duty, walking away from the monarchy in an act of defiance that shook the world. The question now is not whether Harry made the right choice, it is whether he made the only choice he could. Could he have remained silent, obedient, while watching Meghan suffer the same relentless scrutiny that drove Diana into despair? Could he have remained the smiling prince when inside he was drowning in grief and anger? Perhaps not, and so he chose freedom. But freedom, for Harry, came with new chains. The media he despised still follows him. The family he loves remains distant. His every word becomes a headline. He's both liberated and imprisoned, admired and attacked. What, then, is his true legacy? For some, Harry is a timeless legend, the prince who broke the chains of monarchy, who dared to speak his truth, who carried Diana's torch of humanity into the modern age. For others, he is a fleeting phenomenon, a man who abandoned his birthright for Hollywood deals and headlines, who traded the crown for controversy. But beyond the debate lies a lesson won about ambition, love, family, and temptation. Harry's story teaches us that privilege does not protect you from pain, that crowns cannot shield you from grief, and that even princes must fight to protect those they love. In the end, whether history calls him a legend or a cautionary tale, Prince Harry remains unforgettable. He forced the world to look behind the palace gates and see not just gold and grandeur, but wounds and humanity. Was the price of freedom worth the cost of family? Only time will tell. If you found this story eye-opening, subscribe and stay tuned for more hidden truths from the world's richest and most powerful. Because behind every crown, every fortune, and every empire lies a secret waiting to be revealed.